Hello! This is an exciting time at ISU. We recently upgraded to Moodle ISU 2. Some courses are already using the new Moodle, and starting summer of 2012, all courses will be offered on the new platform. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to allay any concerns you may have about moving to Moodle 2. Functionally, Moodle 2 is very similar to Moodle 1.9. It still does most of the same things. A few changes have been made, and there have been a lot of improvements. Also, it will be very easy to make the move since you can back up your 1.9 courses and restore them into Moodle 2. We have other videos which will provide more details on this and many of the things talked about in this video. In this video, we will be looking briefly at the new appearance of Moodle ISU 2, improvements that have been made including navigation, messaging, and files, and new features that have been added. These include conditional release, activity completion, workshop, blog-like forum, and resource duplication. Let's start by taking a look at the new Moodle. To access Moodle ISU 2, you will log into Moodle ISU. Scroll down the page until you see a block called Network Servers. Click on the Moodle ISU 2 link. This will take you to the Moodle ISU 2 server, and you will see any courses that are available to you. This version of Moodle still has the basic 3-column setup with content in the middle and blocks on either side. One really neat feature is that these blocks can be docked or moved to tabs on the side of the screen to free up space on the page. The menus in the blocks can be accessed by hovering over them when they are in the dock or by undocking them. Docking is a user-specific setting, so you can move blocks without changing how the page looks to your students. When you go into a course, you will notice that it is very similar to Moodle 1.9, but with a sleeker look. The Turn Editing On button is still in the top right corner of the screen. Instead of an administration block, you now have a settings block. It will be important to remember that the content in the settings block changes depending on which activity or resource you are editing. Let me show you what I mean. If we edit an assignment, you would normally expect to see an Update this assignment button on the top right corner, but it isn't there. In Moodle 2, you will go to the settings block and click on Edit Settings to update the assignment. Also, when you turn editing on in the course, you will see the Add a Resource and Add an Activity drop-down menus. The Add Activities menu is basically the same except for the addition of Workshop, which we will talk about later. The Resources menu will look a little different than it did in 1.9. You now have separate options for adding a file and linking to a website. You can create a web page in your course by clicking on the Add a Page option. You can use the Add a Folder option to link to a folder containing multiple files. Let's talk about improvements. One of the major improvements in Moodle 2 is the addition of the navigation block. The navigation block can be used to quickly navigate between courses. Improvements have also been made to the messaging system. You can add a message block to your course which will enable you to communicate with other users via instant message and/or email. The final major improvement that we are going to talk about has been made to the way files are handled in Moodle 2. File management in Moodle ISU 2 is set up to allow you to access your private files area as well as other repositories. You can access your private files either by adding the Private Files block to your course or by using the links in the navigation block. No one else has access to your private files, but you can link files to any of your courses from your private files repository. Some of the new features in Moodle include conditional release and activity completion. These are settings that can be added to activities and resources in your course by clicking the Edit Settings and under Restricted Access and Activity Completion. Conditional release allows the teacher to restrict access to activities according to conditions such as grades, dates, or the completion of other activities. Activity completion, or progress tracking, allows the instructor to monitor student progress through a course or activity. If this feature has been enabled, when an activity is marked complete, a check mark will show up next to the activity on the course homepage. Like this one. Another new feature is the workshop activity. Workshops are similar to assignment activities with a peer assessment component. Students submit their work via an online tool. They can receive a grade based on their own work and their peer assessments. Also, a new type of forum has been added to Moodle 2. You can have your forums display in a blog-like format. If you choose to use a blog-like format, all of the topics are displayed on the same page with a Discuss This Topic link that will allow you to access the entire conversation. The final improvement that we are going to talk about is resource duplication. When you turn editing on in your course, you will see several icons next to your content. The one that looks like two pieces of paper is the duplicate icon. You can use this to make copies of resources or activities without having to completely recreate them. You'll also be able to edit the new copy or return to the course with an exact duplicate of the original. Well, that's all we have to talk about for now. Some of the activities and resources that have received very few changes include gradebook, lesson, and assignments. These features and many other parts of Moodle ISU 2 will still function in much the same way as they did in Moodle 1.9. If you have any questions about Moodle ISU 2, please contact the ITRC or visit the URL listed on this page. Thank you for watching this video.